unfortunately, we are back for another round. I have already recorded this podcast once before, but we had some issues with the vocals and everything, so here we go again. A second go at the same podcast, a whole 7 days later. Let's see if we can get it right this time. What the fuck is up? Anybody out there who's actually listening to this shitty podcast, I appreciate you. I got myself some breakfast this morning to prep. I got a fucking coffee with extra bullshit, and I got a blueberry muffin with more bullshit. So, yeah, this is the Hindsight Podcast. Once again, the podcast that you've probably never heard of, hosted by somebody you don't fucking know. And I've got a lot of DMs lately, a lot of questions from people, which is weird, but from my last live video I did on Instagram, I had a bunch of DMs of people asking me kind of my stance on some things like abortion, drug dealing, and a few other things. So we'll go ahead and I just want to knock some shit out of the way so I could get right into the story. So, abortion, in my opinion, I feel I'm pro-choice. Well, that is my opinion. I am pro-choice. I look at it as if I was a chick who got raped and then that motherfucker got me pregnant, I should have the option to get rid of the child. It's pretty fucked up if a bitch is raped. If a woman is raped and then she lives in a state in which she's forced to keep the child. Fuck that. I would hate that child. That's my stance on it. If you feel like you want an abortion, go get it. But I also feel like it should be if the father is in the picture, I feel like he should definitely have a say in the abortion or not. I feel like it should be an agreement on both sides, but once again, ultimately, it is the woman's decision. I know that seems unfair to a lot of men, but you're not the one that has to carry the fucking child. You're not the one that has to give birth. And you're not the one that has to go through all the fucking pain and suffering that a pregnancy brings. So that's where I stand on abortion. Now, I had a long spiel on drug dealing because I come from a neighborhood in which there is a lot of that going on and around the entire town. And so with a lot of that going on, you're bound to have some friends who drug deal, as well as maybe even you dabble in it yourself, but that's for another episode. So my stance on drug dealing is where I come from is a very poverty-stricken suburban area. It's just gangs all over the place, even more drugs, violence. So in certain situations, by all means, go get your money. You know what I mean? If you're trying to pay your bills or, feed your family, whatever. I believe there's justifiable reasons for drug dealing. I don't know why people care about how I feel about that. I used to be in the game pretty heavily, but I'm not anymore. So there's that. Drug dealing. Do it if you need to pay your bills. This episode brought to you by drugs. Let's see another topic. Really quick, I want to brush over this. The whole Trisha Paytas thing with Trisha coming out as a transgender. I think, honestly, from what I've seen, her put out on the internet, which this was at this point, this was a couple weeks ago. So there's been some time for people to react, people to put out reaction videos, and there's been plenty of time for Trisha to, reply or whatever. I watched the video, and I watched the second video also, the video she put out after that. I think it's kind of a joke, really. And if I was in the LGBTQ plus community, I would probably feel pretty offended by the things that she said, because she was born a woman. She's got tits and a vagina. You know, she's pretty, long blonde hair. She wears like jeweled nails and pink fucking everything. But there was this little length of time on Instagram where she was posting pictures as if she was like pretending to be Zac Efron from some fucking movie. I don't remember. Maybe it was like High School Musical or something. But the only thing that she's released to the public that would give any fucking hint of her being transgender is those pictures. Like, up until this point, everybody thought that Trisha is just the girliest girly girl, because that is the way that she's made herself look and the way people perceive her from the way she puts herself on the internet and stuff like that, because she's, you know, big on Patreon and on YouTube. She's got millions of followers. She makes a bunch of money from, you know, showing her tits and shit like that. So you'd think she's like a real girly girl, but she came out and said that she was born a female, but she relates more with men, which I get if you relate with men, but she says that she doesn't want to like do any surgeries to actually, you know, go the extra mile. She wants to keep her female body, keep looking like a female, but just tell people that she's transgender. She says she feels like a boy. She relates more with men, but she said she's a transgender gay man. So in her mind, she is a gay man in a woman's body who is also a drag queen. Like, it's just a fucking mess. Like, I can't believe that someone actually thinks they are all those things. It's so fucking weird, because back in the day, 30 years ago, anybody who went to a psychiatrist or a therapist and spit off all the shit that Trisha has been saying, they'd go, yeah, you are having an identity crisis. This is what we're going to do. These are the steps we need to take. This is the medication we're going to put you on, blah, 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 blah. I'm not saying Trisha needs medication, but nowadays, in the world we live in, we label shit like that transgender. We just stick labels over things, and I never understood what people meant when they said that. They said, well, we just stick labels over everything and move on to the next, which is what I feel like we're doing with transgender, the whole transgender thing. To me, in my opinion, it's not a thing. I feel like you're born, say I'm born a man, and then I get older and I'm like, I feel like I'm a girl, actually. I feel like I'm a girl in a boy's body. Like, to me, that's a mental illness. And I know that might make some people mad, but up until recently, shit like that was a mental illness. It wasn't like, oh, they're just transgender. What the fuck even is that? What the fuck is transgender? Like I fucking hate this world. But anyway, so Trisha is transgender, I guess, now. So there's that, where I stand on it. I think, I'll just say this really quick. I think the way she did it, she could be telling the truth, but the way she did it makes it look like she's doing it for attention, or she's doing it for likes or follows, you know, just doing it for the clout in general. That's the way it's being perceived by a lot of people on the internet, just because of the way that she came out about it. So I'm going to move on from that. Something else I want to touch base on is there's like a small niche of girls on the internet. It's actually a big group of girls now that consider themselves Instagram models. And I've corresponded back and forth with a few girls that consider themselves Instagram models, okay? And the problem I have with that is that you're not a model at all. If you're actually a model, you're getting, you know, like paid ads, or, you know, you're doing paid partnerships or advertisements, promotions, and all that shit. Like, if you have a popular Instagram page, I would consider you an Instagram model. But I've corresponded with girls who aren't necessarily very popular. And the thing about that is they're like independently contracted by other people and companies and stuff. So all the costs of everything fall on the female herself, like getting your hair and makeup done, getting your nails done, um, all the clothes and shoes and all the fashion, and then like the necessities also, like your toiletries and food and water, like simple shit like that. Like a lot of these girls are struggling so hard. They're like crashing on couches at their friends' apartments and stuff like that because they think that their life is so much better or so much more interesting than everybody else's that they don't have to get a normal job, and that strangers and companies will give them money just to post pictures on Instagram, or go on live and talk about a product or something like that. Which, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of fucking girls on the internet who do that. But if you've been doing it for quite some time and you have gained no traction, you're not making hardly any fucking money as a party girl. And what I mean by a party girl is like a pretty girl who gets paid to show up at events or parties and, just show up. If you're not killing it and being able to pay all your bills and everything like that, like I talked to a girl who didn't even eat for 2 days because she couldn't afford to, because she wasn't getting any jobs. You need to go get a job, sweetheart. Put your pride aside and fucking go get a 9 to 5 so that you have all your bases covered. Get a 9 to 5, make sure your bills are going to be paid, and then in your free time when you're not at work, that's when you need to focus on being an Instagram model. I'm throwing up air quotations over here super fucking hard. That's what you need to do. That's just my opinion, because that's what I do with this podcast. I work a regular 9 to 5 job, and then I come home and I do what I need to do, in my free time to push my podcast, push stupid videos I make on the internet. That's it. You know what I mean? Just work when you're not at work. Anyway, yeah. So that was a couple things that some people wanted me to talk about. I don't really know why, but we'll get off of those, crinkle that up, and throw it away. Today's been amazing so far. You should all get on the internet or on Facebook, find a funny video, or actually scratch that. Go to YouTube. Search cats or some shit. Dogs and babies, puppies and babies, or something. Something fucking super cliche for YouTube. And just go smile. Like, I love doing that. I love just going to watch funny, happy videos, and I just like to smile and get cheered up. It'll put you in a good mood for the rest of the day. So will this fucking coffee I'm chugging right now. So, there's a quick story I wanted to talk about really quick. It is the I just hit my jewel. It's the story of how me and my mom could be very rich. So here it goes. This was like back in like 2006. I want to say it was like back in 2006. I lived with my mom and we were really struggling. Like, if you've listened to these podcasts before, you already know. So we stayed the night at one of her friend's house the night before this happened. We actually didn't sleep in her house. We slept in our car. But we woke up and we went in the house. We got some coffee and we chit-chatted for a little bit. And then we smoked, obviously we smoked a little bit of weed and got our heads right and shit like that. Oh yeah, there's a small little story I'm gonna tell inside of this story. So, um, we left. Um, let's just say Barbara's house. We left Barbara's house, and we knew we had a long day ahead of us. We had plans for the day to go places and stuff like that. So we had like a 3 hour drive in one direction ahead of us to go pick something up. Um, so about 3 quarters of the way there, we're in BFE, fucking bumfuck Egypt, middle of nowhere. It feels like we're just out in the woods somewhere in Washington, and me and my mom are just stoned, having a good time. The sun's shining. We're feeling great, and we both were like, we're hungry. We need to get something to eat. So we drive like another 10 miles down the road, and finally we found like this little corner gas station that was like at an intersection, but it was like one of those intersections like in the middle of nowhere that didn't have any stop signs or stoplights or anything. It was just a four-way, and hopefully when you go through it you don't hit somebody. But we found that little gas station corner store, right? And we pull up. We're the only fucking people there, and there's two elderly people out front smoking cigarettes. I assume to be the people that own the place. So I light up a cigarette, get out of the car, and I walk over to him, and I just start, bullshitting about whatever I was bullshitting about. It was a long time ago. And my mom continues to go into the store. So I'm sitting there, I'm bullshitting, and I have no idea what's about to go down. I thought my mom was just going to buy some snacks. That's why I stayed outside. So I'm legit just bullshitting and talking to the owners outside, but little did I know it was a distraction for my mom. I should have known better. It was a distraction for my mom. And after about 3 or 4, maybe 5 minutes, cigarette's done, put it in the ashtray, and then I'm going to head inside, but I hear a boom, like a kick or a loud thud. And then we're like standing at the corner of the building. So we all kind of like poke our head around, me and the older lady poke our head around kind of and look. And you just see my mom like fucking football sprinting. One arm's got a basket in it. The other arm's got like a bunch of bags and shit in it. And she was just like taking the longest wide steps, like running so fast, like boo, boo, boo. Shit's falling out of the basket on her way there and shit like that. And she fucking gets to the car, throws the shit in. And I'm still standing there with the ladies, like, or the lady and the gentleman. And I was like, yo, what the fuck? And they had like really no idea what was going on because I came in with this lady and I was still standing next to him. So they probably just thought we were joking or something, but I look at him and I just dart away really fast. I just run all the way to the fucking car, get in, we peel out, brrr, fucking drive down the road, take a couple lefts, a couple rights, try to, maneuver our way around these roads to get kind of lost so nobody could find us. And we did. We obviously got away. We did that shit almost daily and continued to get away with it, which is completely baffling. Listening to myself talk about it, it's crazy. So we got our snacks, and everything was good. And then we get to where we were going, which is this guy named John's house, and he lives at the top of this hill out in the fucking middle of nowhere. I think he said he owned like 47 acres or something like that out in the mountains, which it was a beautiful property. Anyway, we get there, we get into his house, and me and my mom are watching TV for a little bit with him. We're just all sitting there watching TV, eating some snacks, and then we were done. And then he's like, "You guys want to smoke?" So we said, "Yeah, well, let's smoke." We went down to the basement, and it was really weird. The basement seemed really fucking small for how big his house was, because it was like 10 foot by 10 foot, just a square. You got to the bottom of the stairs and it was like a 10 foot by 10 foot square that you were standing inside of. It was really strange. I was like, damn, I was like, did you, remodel down here? And he's like, yeah, you want to see? And me and my mom were like, yeah, sure. And he opens the first door, which has like a seal on it. And he opens the first door, and I'm immediately hit with a super strong fucking marijuana smell. And there's a difference between like smelling buds that you just bought and smelling fresh plants that are still growing. And I got hit with that fresh plant smell. And I was like, oh my God, I already knew. We walk in the first room, and it's a vegetation room, which is, you let them pretty much just get their length and their width and everything before you start the flowering process. So we get to the veg room, and I'm like just in awe. I'm like, oh my God, look at all these plants. No wonder this dude has weed all the time. And I was like, man, this is a dream come true. And then there's a second door in the back left corner of the room, and we kind of walk down a path. We get to the second door, and then boom, he opens it, and just the smell was like orgasmic. It was the best fucking weed smell ever. Like, I mean, I was just a kid, so I'd never seen a grow up before. And man, I remember walking in and just seeing buds and buds and buds, just a field of fucking big colas and banana buds all over, and fucking the room was lit with LEDs, so it was like a purplish and like reddish hue everywhere. It was a dope ass vibe. And him and my mom are over next to like the nutrients and stuff that he feeds the plants, and I'm kind of like taking my own tour because it's like a huge fucking grow. And I was like, man, I kind of want to know what kind of bud this is. I was like, I want to smoke this weed and see what it does, see how it tastes, see how it smells when it's dry. So I grab a huge cola bud. It's like 18. It's like 12 inches long. It's literally like a foot long and thick as fuck, like a Pringles can. And I snap it off the stem and stuff it in my belt line. And I'd continue to walk around, look at buds and shit like that. And nobody ever noticed. And that was it. We left the basement, went upstairs. My mom probably did something with him or to him in order for him to give me as much weed as he did. Because he gave me like 3.5 ounces that day for just nothing. He just gave me that weed, which was a reoccurring thing in my life. When I lived with my mom, it was always, here's some weed, buddy, or she'd bring someone over that'd give me like 1 ounce or 2 ounces, and just, it was all the time with weed. So he gave me that, and I was really happy because I was like down to my last 8 grams, and I was like, yo, legit. So me and my mom leave. We get all the way back to PO, which is Port Orchard, and then we pick up her boyfriend. I'm throwing mad air quotations in the air right now. Boyfriend at the ferry terminal. We go home, bullshit for a little bit around the house, whatever, and then me and my mom need to go to Silverdale for some reason I don't understand. It's a couple towns away. And it's about 4:30 at night, summertime. The sun's like setting, looking perfect. Me and my mom hop in Sid's Ford Ranger. It's like a 1999 just white Ford Ranger, plain as fucking can be. And we're cruising down these back roads, just out in the woods, cruising down the back highway on our way to Silverdale. And me and my mom are just smoking tough. We've had a good day. Me and my mom are smoking a fat bowl. The sun is beautiful. The sky is gorgeous. It's like a pinkish blue color with purple, and the vibe was just perfect. And we're going about 80 miles an hour, and we get to a point to where we're behind a UPS truck, and the UPS truck pulls off to the right of the road a little bit, like pulls off to the shoulder, but he's still going like 75. So we figured that he was just going to let us pass him because we were not really on his ass, but we were coming up to get closer to him. Anyway, he pulls off, and my mom starts to go around him. And then as soon as our front ends are like even with each other, he immediately jerks to the left, just turns, smashes into my fucking door. I go flying into my mom. We go flying into the ditch, and we go up this embankment like 20 feet, come down, jump out of the ditch, land, cruise down the road a little bit, go down into another ditch, back up onto the road, and then we ended up coming to a stop about 100 feet later. And I had a cigarette in my fingers at the time of impact when that UPS truck hit us. And when it was all said and done, me and my mom look at each other like, what the fuck? Are you okay? Holy shit, what just happened? I still have my cigarette in my fingers. And I just look at my mom and I'm like, I still have my cigarette. And we just kind of laugh. But she was like, are you all right? Are you all right? And I was, but I had a bunch of scratches on my arm and on my face from the glass. And because the whole passenger side of the truck was just like a V shape, like just completely just inward on itself, just so fucked up, totaled. And we get out of the truck, we end up, crawling out of the driver's side, and we're like dusting ourselves off. And the UPS driver comes running over. He's like, oh my God, I'm so fucking sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Are you guys okay? I'm calling my boss right now. All this other shit. And he took complete responsibility and fault for everything. He said everything was his fault and all that, which never fucking happens. So the cops were on their way. My mom looks at me. We're like walking around the car looking at the damage. And my mom's like, you need to go hide. And I was like, what for? She was like, we both had warrants at the time. So my mom was like, you need to go hide. And I was like, why? She's like, here, take this. And she reaches into her bra and like passes me a bunch of meth, weed, a couple meth pipes that were like in a glass, like a case for glasses. She hands me all this stuff that was in her bra, plus the drugs that I already had on me. If you want to consider marijuana a drug, fuck you. But yeah, I had a bunch of weed on me. And my mom was like, just go hide until it's all over. I'll let you know when you can come out. So I fucking dart into the woods, like about, 75, 80 yards, just straight into the woods. I find a nice stump to sit on. I take out my pipe, smoke a bowl, smoke another bowl, because about an hour and 45 fucking minutes went by. Probably because when the cops showed up, they're like, well, the UPS driver said there was a fucking kid involved. Where the fuck is the kid? But somehow my mom got him to forget about that, and the cops ended up leaving. The UPS driver got towed away. I come out of the woods, and my mom's like, fuck, what are we going to do? How are we going to get this fucking truck out of here? And we were literally like 5 feet away from someone's driveway. It was like a long-ass private driveway that went to a property. And then out of nowhere, we see this old-ass fucking man just coming down his driveway in a tractor. He's like, y'all need a tow? And we're like, fuck yes, we need a tow, because we definitely could not afford a tow truck. So he towed the truck onto his property, and he's like, the nicest fucking guy. Y'all can leave this here as long as y'all want. Y'all come get it whenever you need it. It'll be here. We won't touch it or move it or nothing. So he was really fucking nice. And that was like our saving grace for the day. But the reason I told this story, because we could have sued UPS. We could have brought a lawsuit upon UPS for what? All the fucking damages and the pain and suffering. We probably would have made up a bunch of other shit. But we didn't go after it because of the fact me and my mom were very much so wanted by the police. We both had warrants. My mom had like 6 or 7 at least. I know I had 3 for missing 3 court dates. I know I had those. And my mom at this time was also wanted. She was in the news for escaping police custody. She was pulled over on the side of the highway, put into handcuffs, put in the back of the cop car. Cop goes back to the car, comes back to his car, and my mom's gone, and the handcuffs are in the seat. And that was some gangster ass shit, and I won't tell you how she did it because it's a secret that I don't want to talk about or tell anybody, because I use that when I'm in that situation. Hopefully I'll never be in that situation again. But anyway, yeah, we could have definitely sued UPS, and we definitely would have been compensated heavily. because for like 9 months after the crash, about actually a year after the crash, they would call at least twice a week. They would call my grandma's house because this was back in 2006, before everybody had a fucking cell phone in their pocket. So they'd constantly call my grandma's house and ask if we were all right, ask if we needed anything, if there was anything they could do for us. And every phone call they'd tell my grandma how sorry they were that this happened. And just that right there alone, that they took the time to, call and shit like that and ask if we needed anything, says that they know they majorly fucked up, and me and my mom should have taken advantage of that. But, I mean, our lives would be severely different. So who knows? Could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. But that is the motherfucking story of how me and my mom could have sued UPS and probably be living super fucking large right now. Honestly, instead of the compensation, I would have just been like, give me the company, give me UPS, and fucking just done some type of shit, whatever. But no, that's it. That's the story, the stupid fucking story that I have. I have a million more fucking dumb, stupid stories that I want to tell. Just because it's my life. Those are my experiences. This is shit that I want to share with people. And this podcast is how I do that. So hopefully if anybody's listening, they enjoyed that story. And something I want to talk about before I end this podcast is saving people money. Do you guys like to save money? Because I feel like everybody I know loves to save money. Well, if you like to save money, you need to check out Honey. Honey is a free browser extension that automatically applies coupon codes at over 37,000 online stores. Add Honey for free and start saving today. Seriously, Honey only takes 2 clicks to install, and then you're done. That's it. You continue to shop on the internet, and when you go to checkout, Honey automatically applies coupon codes to whatever you're buying and saves you money automatically. I personally have Honey, and I've saved, let me see, I got a report right here. I've saved $236.54 this year alone, and I don't do a lot of online shopping, but Honey in total has saved people millions of fucking dollars. So seriously, guys, if you want to go save some money, go check out Honey. It's free to download. It only takes 2 clicks, and then you're done. So go check them out. Let me know what's up. I hope you guys really enjoyed the podcast today. You need to grab somebody that's next to you and tell them that you fucking love them. Call your mom, call your dad, or your motherfucking brother, because you never know when you're going to be gone forever. You guys, if anybody's listening, I appreciate the fuck out of all of you, and I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. I've probably said that like 90 fucking times, but until next time, let's hope the audio didn't fuck up in this one. Love you guys. Peace out.